Hey, Wilson Taylor here. Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to show you how to balance your camera to the DJI RS2 Gimbal. But make sure to stay tuned towards the end. I got a quick tip on why to use internal zoom lenses and internal focusing lenses rather than lenses that are not. So let's jump right into it, guys. We're going to make it really simple. I have the gimbal here in front of me and has not been balanced actually to the camera that I am going to balance it to. This is just a little DSLR. It has a 55 to 250 telephoto zoom lens. And there's a reason I'm using this lens, and I'll explain that a little bit later to you. The gimbal itself right now does not even have the plates on it. So it comes with the Manfrotto plate as well as the Arcus Swiss plate. So let's go ahead, and the very first thing that you're going to want to do is take your camera. On the very bottom you have a 1/4 screw. So take the Arcus Swiss plate and attach it. The way that you're going to want to attach it, if you notice on the bottom of the Arcus Swiss plate, it has the arrow. So make sure it is in the same direction as your lens. Get that attached. Try to straighten it out as best as possible. Tighten it on nice. You can use a flathead screwdriver to tighten it down even more. This gimbal here has been balanced already to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. So I have not balanced it to this camera, so we're gonna see how to do so. First thing, notice everything is locked. So you want all of your axis, your pan, your tilt, and your roll axis is locked. Go ahead and undo your roll axis and lock that into place. Now you have your tilt axis. Lock that into place as well. Take your Manfrotto plate that you have here and just slide it in. Get it into place. If you notice, I have it still unlocked so that it can move front and backwards. So one of the very first things I do when you stick your camera on, it just slides on. Make sure to lock that right away and make sure it's as far as it can go to the gimbal itself. So push it in, lock that down into place. One of the very first things that we are going to adjust is going to be the tilt axis. And so this is, if you notice, the camera is tilting up or down. So undo that before I forget. Make sure to take all weight off. So such as the lens cap that you're using. Make sure the lens cap is off because every bit of weight will make a difference. If you are going to use the Raven Eye, or if you're hooking up any sort of cables, make sure to already have everything on the gimbal as well as all the cables hooked up, because slight difference in weight does make a difference. Hold it, make sure it's not going to go frontwards or backwards. Use this little bitty adjustment right here to move your camera front or backwards until you feel that it is balancing and will stay. See, notice that. Now what I do is I lock that into place and it'll stay pretty much by itself. It's going to fall front and backwards. Now that you have that set temporarily, now we're going to adjust it right here. And this is going to raise and lower the camera. So what you want to do is undo that, undo your little brake lever here, and now the camera can go up or down if you notice. Once you have it to where it'll slide up and down, try to get your camera to where it'll look at the sky and stay. So notice it's going forward. Every time I let go, it's dropping back down. So continue to play with that until you have it locked in to where it'll stay just by itself. Come back a little bit more. Right about there. Okay, so lock that down into place. So notice now I let go of it, it'll stay by itself, staring at the sky. Now you want to go back to this adjustment here and make sure that you don't have to readjust this. So wherever you put the camera, it should stay by itself now. Now that you have the tilt axis set, lock that back in place. Now we're going to adjust the roll axis. Again, what you want to do is unlock it, slide that back and forth, and get it to where you can move this back and forth to get that adjustment. Now I think I have it pretty loose. Make sure, depending on what your camera, how heavy they are, hold your camera the whole time that you're unlocking it. So go ahead and unlock that. And now you notice how it's falling. It won't hold by itself. So you're going to need to make a couple adjustments, either in or out, depending. So if it's falling in, then you're going to want to slide the camera a little out, the bar a little out. Oh, look at that. Almost pretty good. The same thing, you want the camera to stay wherever you position it. So if you have it here, it should stay. Notice how it doesn't. So continue to fiddle with it to make your adjustments. So I'm gonna push it back to me. Ooh, I went too far. Push it back to me a little bit more. Ooh, a little bit. It looks pretty good. Once you have it to where it'll hold itself, go ahead and lock it back down. Now that we have the tilt, here's the tilt, and now that we have the roll to where the camera will stay balanced on the gimbal, let's go ahead and now work on the pan. So go ahead and unlock the pan, and the thing that we're going to want to balance is when you lean the camera to the left, or the gimbal I should say, you want it to just stay to where nothing unfolds, nothing moves. You notice how it's moving? So let's go ahead and unlock it and slide it either frontwards or backwards to make the right adjustment. You'll have to mess around with it to figure out which way, front or back. Depending on your camera, if you have a heavy load on it, you'll most likely want to slide it back towards you. A lighter load, push it forward. And it's something you just have to play with until you get it. Slide it back and forward. That's pretty good right there. Now that you have everything pretty well done, make sure all axes of the gimbal are unlocked so you're able to spin it freely. Go ahead and turn it on. And once you get the gimbal turned on, it'll have your home screen, and you'll notice it has the little icon of the gimbal at the very top left of the screen. Click on that, and that's going to bring up the calibrate screen. And go ahead and calibrate the gimbal, and it'll start to calibrate. There it is, 100% done. Gives you a green. And if you notice on your little screen here, the icon at the top right will either be a green or a red. So if you didn't balance this correctly, it'll be either orange or red. And if it's in the red, you might want to go back through these steps. Okay guys, just a quick tip on lenses. There's a reason why I have this 250 to 55 or 55 to 250. It's quite a mouthful. Okay, notice here, if I undo the tilt axis, you'll see that the camera is stationary, it's balanced. But notice with this lens here, it's not an internal zoom or it's not internal focusing. The difference is on like this Cine lens or cinema lens, it has internal focusing. So what does that mean? When you focus on this lens, for instance, it doesn't change the length of the lens. So having internal lenses that focus and zoom, I highly recommend using those for your gimbals. And the reason is, for instance, this here is the focus. And if you notice, it makes the lens longer. And what happens is it'll throw off the balance of the gimbal because it's changing the weight distribution. Now that you are focused, what about zoom? So now you're zooming. What happens if I let go, my hand is holding this, well, make sure to protect your lens, instantly drops, okay? And so that is not an internal zoom lens. Make sure to balance your gimbal for whatever focal length you want to use if you are not using internal focusing and internal zoom lenses. Quick tip to you. Well, I appreciate everyone sticking through this very painful video, listening to me stutter all the way through to explaining how to balance your DJI gimbal. I hope it gave you some better ideas, some quick ways to just set this up. And remember, if you didn't get it quite right the first time, just repeat the process from the beginning, okay? And until you get it right. After you get this set up, it won't take long to continue to re-establish your camera. You can just slide it back off, go do some handhelds, snap it back on. Again, I hope it helped, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Get out there and create something. Take all of this knowledge that we are continuing to learn and make stuff with it. Put it to use. See you guys in the next one. Have fun.